as Max said, I'm CEO of a company called Brand Genetics. Just because I'm going to be up here a fair bit, I thought I'd give you a bit of context. We are an insight and innovation consultancy. We use human-centered thinking to help us and our clients like AB InBev, Mondelez, Unilever, PepsiCo, those sort of CPG, FMCG players, spot new growth opportunities. So hopefully that gives a bit of context to where I'm coming from. Now, the theme of this year's conference is Be More Human. And I hope I'm in a good place to talk about that because our company vision is this: the future is human. And as I've said, we take a human-centered approach to innovation. What this means is that we start with your target audience, understanding their lives, what they want and what they need as human beings, not just as consumers. Now, we believe this is the route to richer, more relevant, more sustainable innovation, especially in a world where, frankly, more stuff looks increasingly outdated. So let's begin with thinking about what human beings are really searching for in their lives. Is it a great relationship? Is it fame? Is it fortune? Is it life in paradise? Well, we think all these things are a means to an end, an effort to get to the ultimate human goal. And let me refer back to this document, which I think got it pretty much spot on when it stated, and I will read, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with a certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." I would argue happiness is our ultimate human goal. And luckily, Aristotle got there about 2,000 years before me, so I feel I'm on good ground here. Now, happiness isn't just about going out with your mates or having that extra slice of cake. Happiness is defined as experiencing and evaluating life positively. And we're right to pursue happiness because being happy is linked to some very positive outcomes. You're more creative, you're more productive, you're more healthy, resilient, successful, motivated, attractive, helpful, appreciated, and you live longer. Now, who wouldn't want to be all of those things, right? And in recent times, the importance of happiness has become increasingly widely recognized. The Kingdom of Bhutan led the way when it became the first country to start measuring what they call gross national happiness, or GNH, instead of GDP, as a measure of progress. In 2011, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution which recognized happiness as a fundamental human goal and called for a more inclusive, equitable, and balanced approach to economic growth that promotes happiness and well-being of all peoples. And even a body like the World Economic Forum has understood the importance of human-centered thinking and happiness. But, and there is a but, well, actually, first of all, before we get to the big but, I think if innovation is about addressing unmet needs, then sadly the world is crying out for a bit of positivity right now. A recent survey showed that world happiness levels are at their lowest since measurement began, despite a backdrop of rising wealth and material progress. Collectively, the world is more stressed, more worried, more sad, and in more pain today than it's ever been. Now, we do see this shift in thinking towards happiness happening at a governmental level, but most big companies don't actually seem aligned to this goal. And in fact, if you look at stories in the media, many seem positively antagonistic to our happiness. So whether it's misusing data, whether it's kicking us off flights, ripping off health services, whether it's sexism and inequality, unfair working conditions, childhood obesity, or pollution around the world, it doesn't make for a particularly pretty picture. In search of a quick profit, too often companies have forgotten how to make their end customer truly happy. Is it any wonder that people are voting with their wallets and the growth in the world is coming from companies that are smaller, more personal, and seemingly more aligned with this core human goal? But it doesn't have to be this way. I'm here to champion a manifesto for positive innovation. Positive innovation means innovating for human happiness and well-being, not just the short-term sugar rush, but something more genuine and sustainable. It's about putting positive human experience at the heart of your innovation process, because as we've seen, ultimately that's what your customers want, and that's pretty good business in our book. And the good news is that positive innovation doesn't just help people and the planet. It also delivers profitable new products and services that can drive growth and keep people coming back for more. People are spending serious money. The global wellness market is worth $4.2 trillion. That is 4 times bigger than the pharmaceutical industry. And positive innovation is the foundation for premium offerings as well. Evidence shows that people who are happy with an experience are willing to pay more and more likely to buy again, which makes sense, right? So that just leaves us with one big question. What is indeed the secret of happiness? Well, as I suggested earlier, human beings are often not blessed with great understanding of what makes us happy. So I'm going to dispel a few myths. Marriage does not make you happy. Maybe that's not a myth. On average, you're as happy 2 years after as you were 2 years before you got married, though sometimes it may not feel like it, right? Fame, well, famous people are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than the rest of us. So thank you, lucky stars, you're not famous. Fortune, well, winning the lottery is an incredibly stressful experience. 70% of people also lose all their cash. Some would argue it's better to be crying in a Lamborghini than a Ford Fiesta, but you know. And then moving to paradise. Well, sadly, your worries and anxieties tend to move with you. So that's false too. But I've got some good news. Whilst what makes us happy isn't always obvious or easy to define, as champions of positive innovation, we've sifted through a wealth of scientific and academic literature and identified validated insights to help you develop innovation that drives true human happiness. And in your bags, you will find these set of cards. There are 18 of the strongest insights for positive innovation. Merle is smiling at me because Kinnear Dufour put similar cards in about 4 years ago and we nicked the idea. But you know, that makes me happy. Absolutely, thank you. Have a look, have a play, and next time you want to sort of generate ideas or brainstorm, try them out, because you should come up with ideas that are not only better for your customers, but also, as I say, more profitable. But I'm going to give a quick run through of 3 of the top insights in a bit more detail. Oh, there they are. Here we go, beating expectations in millennial yellow. This is Mo Gaudat, formerly Chief Business Officer, I think, of Google X, who wrote this great book, Solve for Happy, which I highly recommend. And in the book, he has a revelation. What I realized was that I would never get to happiness as long as I held on to the idea that as soon as I do this, or get that, or reach this benchmark, I'll become happy. And the biggest finding from decades of research into human well-being is that happiness is not a state that reflects how well things are going, but instead whether things are going better than expected. In short, finding ways to beat expectations promotes wellness and happiness. So what this means is to drive customer happiness, you need to close the gap between customer experience and customer reality. The cynics amongst you are saying, let's just lower customer expectations, I know. But the positive amongst us might try and up the outcome. So let me give you an example. Pret a Manger provides employees with a small budget each week to give away free food and drink. So if staff see somebody who's unhappy, sad, bit stressed, or even maybe just coming in with a big smile on their face, they might give them a free coffee to help brighten up their day. And let me tell you, as somebody who's been on the receiving end of that a couple of times because I looked grumpy, it really does. Now, I'm sure many of you have mapped your customer journeys, but this insight suggests that we should really be expectation mapping instead. Because once you understand customer expectations along that journey, then you know where to invest in order to exceed those expectations at key touch points. So that's number 1. Now, to beat expectations, our second insight gives you 3 for the price of 1. The arc of happiness. Now, this is a core finding from positive psychology. It describes our 3 core psychological needs for subjective well-being: autonomy, relatedness, and competence. The universal need for autonomy is about self-determination, experiencing freedom, choice, and control. The universal need for relatedness is about experiencing care, connection, and affiliation through social attachment and positive relationships. And the universal need for competence is about experiencing achievement, mastery, and success. Innovation that helps customers experience any of these will in turn foster happiness. So by way of inspiration, take these 3 examples, all of which I've enjoyed and keep coming back for. So there's Airbnb, which gives its guests the freedom to travel the way they want to, with a choice of different types of homes. I mean, you could be in a yurt, you could be in a cave, who knows, and control over your travel experiences that, I don't know, a decade ago would have been unthought of. I love Night Run Club. Those of you who've seen me over the 6 years might be able to tell you I've got a little slimmer in recent times. This has been part of it, actually connecting me to a global network of like-minded runners and friends, right? So I feel motivated to go out for a run. And finally, Duolingo, for anyone who needs to learn a language fast. This is the world's most popular language learning app. It makes learning fun and measurable. You earn points for correct answers, race against the clock, and level up. And these bite-sized lessons give you a sense of daily progress and achievement. Finally, we come to the work of Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner and leading behavioral economist. Kahneman has shown that human happiness depends on happy memories more than happy experiences. Let me bring this to life. Who here has had a lovely holiday ruined by an awful journey home? Or an amazing meal spoiled by a long wait for the bill? Have we got people raising their hand? Yeah, exactly. Or, maybe it's a movie that you're really enjoying and then the ending is just a dud. Now, objectively, 90% of your experience might have been great, but the way it ended means it's been ruined in your memory, and that matters. Because actually, despite what we're always being told, it's not the customer's experience that matters, but actually it's whether the memory of their experience is a positive one. And in Kahneman's peak end rule, what we learn is that we remember experiences by how we feel at the peak, and that can be a high or a low, but most importantly, at the end. So to create positive memories, which in turn drive happiness, you need to focus on ending on a high. Now, to do this, I think innovators can take 2 tacks. First of all, it's about removing pain points in the process and experience. Think Amazon Go, the store with no queues, no checkouts, no pain of paying. You just take your shopping and you leave. Or one of my favorites is about adding new highs, and I love the feeling that I get with eBay when instead of buying something, I get told I've won it. It totally changes my experience when in fact all I've done is been willing to pay more than anyone else for it. So now I'm going to end on a high, I hope, and leave you with a positive memory. And to do this, I'm going to roll a few of the ideas above together. So first of all, I did warn you this was coming. I want you to all stand up. And then I'd all like you to find somebody, maybe more than one person, who you haven't met before, and introduce yourself. So we've had you meet people. That's relatedness. Okay, so happy. You've taken a photo, exactly. Memories, brilliant. You should have shared it, maybe. If you share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever. Hashtag GIFLondon, hashtag positive innovation, whatever. Again, sharing makes us happy. And yeah, I hope you're all happy. So last thing, was everyone smiling in their photo? Put your hand up if you weren't smiling. You're pulling blue steel. No, okay, well, I'll share this one then. Because if you were smiling, it's really good news. A study of old baseball cards showed that the players who were smiling in the photos lived significantly longer than those who weren't, right? Those with the widest grins, this is true. This is an absolutely study, I think 2010. I'm looking at my psychologist friend down here. Those with the widest grins lived 7 years on average more than those who looked glum in the photos. So it matters, right? Happiness really matters. So hopefully that's a happy ending for everyone, a positive way to kick proceedings off, and I wish you all a very happy conference and a future of positive innovating. Thank you.